It was like a segregation in a Thai prison,
Wow.
right? But it was like you'd fucking end up getting raped and fucking, you know, lucky to fucking survive in there. So that was the fear you had, right? And they knew that. So I'm in this cell, and it was fucking crazy. We had this Indian guy in there called Sunil, and he was fucking round the bend, always wanking.
Really?
Yeah, he's just like
In the open?
just fucking wanking away, right? And then you go in the toilet, like there's like, it was like he had a little curtain around this little toilet, like a little at the end of the cell. But he just knew what he was doing, and he'd come out and he'd go, I like the jiggy jiggy. And he was saying he wanted to take me down to the pig farm on Valentine's Day.
What?
He reckons the screws would let us go down and we could pick the best pig. I was like, I laughed me out. I was like, you're fucking down, I bet you. He was in for murder.
Oh my word.
So,
He
yeah.
sounds like he's got a few screws
Oh,
loose,
mate,
man.
he was fucking mental. The whole cell was fucking crazy. I felt like I was sane. I'm thinking, wow, I was in
You
there.
probably were.
I was in there. I was in that cell for 3 months thinking, what the fuck am I
Did you
doing
never
here?
feel threatened for your life?
No, they knew what I was about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd kind of adapted to prison environment by the time.
Yes.
I was conditioned. I got to a point, this is how conditioned I was, and I told this story to someone when I got back to Wandsworth on a repatriation, right? So, you used to have to, like I said, when we got to Bangkok, because it was a bigger prison, there was more inmates, we had to wait in queues for everything. So in the morning, we'd get up and we'd wait in this long queue for a bit of hot water.
Yeah.
Right? Out of this machine. And the queue would be like half an hour by the time you got there, you know?
Yeah.
And you want to get up, you want a bit of hot water for a cup of coffee. And I remember one morning waiting in this queue, and this guy comes running out of the commando's office where the prison officers were.
Yeah?
With blood squirting out
Oh my word.
of these holes that he'd punctured himself with. He had this ice pick, and he took himself hostage, but he was known to have HIV, and the blood was just gushing and squirting out of him, and everyone was panicking when he come running out. The screws, the inmates, they were all like, whoa, and everyone in the queue waiting for the hot water all like dispersed and like was watching it. And the first thing that came to my mind was, he's right, I can get some hot water now.
Yeah.
Right? It didn't even fucking faze me.
Really?
I just thought, right, he's distracting everyone. Good stuff, I'm going to get some hot water now. And I said that to someone, he said, what? Your blood bursting out of every orifice. You know,
Wow.
he was taking himself hostage, and you just thought,
now's my chance to get in the
this
line.
is my chance to get the water. It's crazy, isn't it?
Wow, yeah. It just shows you how deprived you guys are from, you know, from basic necessities.
There was a Russian guy in there called Roman. He was in for robbery on ladyboys. What he'd do is he'd go back to a room with them, knock them out, and then rob them.
Yeah.
That was what his MO was.
Right.
I think he'd sleep with them first, and then knock them out and then rob them.
Wow.
But he'd been put in prison. I think he got a 5 for that.
Jeez. But as far as I know, some of those ladyboys, they, you know, they will beat men up.
Oh, the vicious.
These tourists who get clever with them,
Yeah.
they'll just beat them up because they're drunk half the time as well.
Yeah, I've had a few arguments and a few confrontations, and I thought the biggest, my biggest fear was getting beat up by a fella with tits and having to fucking tell everyone.
Yeah,
so
you don't want that in prison.
I thought, I'm not getting in the fucking ring with this cunt.
Yeah.
The screws in this prison though, they were very vicious, you know, like, because the weather's like, it's in its 40s there. You know, late 30s to 40s degrees, it's fucking quite hot. And I remember, this is what they used to do. They used to, like, you know, like, someone would be fucking accused of stealing, or they'd be fighting. You know, the punishment was quite severe. What they'd do, I remember these two ladyboys were fighting with each other. So they drew like a circle on this exercise yard.
Yeah.
Put gloves on these two ladyboys and had them standing opposite each other. in the in the heat, you know, this
Yeah.
horrendous heat, just throwing punches at each other, but not actually making contact.
Okay.
So they were in a circle, but they couldn't actually hit each other. But that was the punishment all day long. And then another one had stole something. Right, I remember this one. He stole a fucking bottle of shampoo. This Thai fella, and he had him standing on a crate
Yeah.
in a pair of shorts with all his with his top off, with a sign round him. It was written inside, but it said thief.
Wow.
And he kept him in there like on this crate for hours
Yeah.
with this heat beating down on him. Just dead in, just really inhumane stuff.
Yeah.
And I wrote about all this. I was like, well, can I not document this? You know what I mean? You couldn't invent this stuff.
Yeah. And did you ever witness like any other brutal murders in there?
No. I'd walk past cells and there'd be people like hanging from the bars.
Wow.
I've come across that a few times. Every time you go for your medication in the hospital,
Yeah.
you'd have to step over bodies that were wrapped up in white sheets. You know, that was quite regular.
Yeah. Have you ever met any other South Africans in there?
No. Oh, no, never.
So what specific moment made you then turn your life around, to stop using drugs? Did you stop taking the drugs while you were in prison eventually?
No, it was kind of, the battle was, I'd stopped taking drugs years before I went to Thailand that night. That was it.
Yeah.
I had an understanding of an addiction. So I knew there was a better way to live because I experienced it. So for me, it was that fight within me, So when I come back from Thailand, when I was released, I was taken to Wandsworth prison. That's when my life started to I needed to grow up.
Yeah.
Stop doing what I was doing.
And were you still taking things in prison, like?
Yeah. Yeah, but
Did you find it challenging to try and stop?
yeah, because you're surrounded by, I think there's more drugs in prison than there is on the streets.
Yeah, wow. And like you say, if you're getting dead over there, it's like a death sentence, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what was then one of your biggest challenges you faced upon your release and return back to the UK?
Adapting to the way of living in the UK.
Yeah.
After I've been in Thailand for 5 years. Comparing, the food and, the way of life.
Yeah.
And the prices of things. So I was looking at all the differences.
Was there a certain meal that you were looking forward to have once you got back?
Just the Mackies.
Yeah. You're looking forward to that, eh?
Yeah. Just the McDonald's.
I guess it must have been like being born again.
It was, yeah.
Was it sad to leave, or were you overwhelmed with happiness?
It was sad because I'd made a lot of friends as well,
Yeah.
I'd learned to speak Thai. The last 12 months of my sentence in Thailand, I was quite calm and, I wasn't using drugs. I hadn't used a drug for almost 12 months whilst I was away. I'd stopped smoking as well.
Wow.
I guess repatriated back to the UK, and again, I didn't smoke and I didn't take any drugs whilst I was in there. But I was given medication for an injury that had happened to me whilst I was over in Southeast Asia. I came off a motorbike whilst I was in Laos.
Yeah.
And the bike I was on, it flew in the air, landed on my chest, broke my ribs, crushed my lung, and the handlebar went right through my stomach.
Oh.
So I was rushed to this hospital in a wheelbarrow with blood gushing, swishing in the bottom of this. Because there was no ambulance service to speak of. And this Irish guy had seen me on the road, dying, and he saved my life. And I'd been given 2 operations in a prison in Thailand. So when I got back to the UK, I had to go to the hospital in the UK and I was given medication. And like I said, medication doesn't go down too well with me. I was given opiate-based medication and I started to like it again. So upon release, you know, I tried my best to keep my head. That's when I went back to Bournemouth.
Oh, yes.
So I went to Boscombe.
What year was that?
That was in 2010.
Okay.
And I stayed with a friend of mine, a good friend, Jason Raven. But Jason had ended up using, but he was manageable with his addiction. And he was always saying, look, don't get back into this, Bill. He would never like encourage me to use, you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
He'd always keep it away from me. But like I remember when he went to sleep one night, I sneaked into his room and stole his drugs. And used a little bit. And that, for me, was just, again, I was using and, you know, I was back in the grip of addiction.
Did you use heroin again?
Yeah, heroin, crack cocaine, everything.
And how long were you on that before you went sober again?
So I went, I got rushed to hospital because my leg, I had an infection in my leg. I was in Bournemouth. I hadn't even been home since I'd been released from Thailand. I hadn't even seen my mum for 5-6 years. And the doctors phoned my mum up in Liverpool and said, look, your son's not too good here. He's got nowhere to live. And he's been using heavily for the past 8 months. And she just said, look, put him in a taxi and send him back here. So I went to Liverpool. I moved in with my mum and her partner and my brother Joe.
Yeah.
Put myself in a detox. And got myself back into recovery again. So I ended up like, yeah, well I was 5 years clean at one point. I had a house, a job, a girlfriend. I'd rebuilt my life. I was writing this book. Well, I'd written it, actually, A Prayer Before Dawn.
Yes.
You know, I was in the process of making a movie about it. So life was actually, you know, it was great.
Yeah.
You know, it was like something like positive had come out of all this negative stuff. And then one morning, one evening, it was, you know, this girl I was with, it kind of broke apart, the relationship, so I was left to my own devices, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started playing a field and going out on dates.